I think so many people focus on the now. And when you focus in the future, you're creating delayed gratification. So you're willing to put in more work up front, knowing that you're going to get somewhere great. And a lot of people just don't want to do that. They want the good things now.
Your network is your net worth. Come listen to some of the most successful people I know share invaluable knowledge, stories, and advice in real estate, business, and beyond. This is Weiss Advice. Whether you want to take your business or personal life to the next level, look no further. Welcome back to another episode of Weiss Advice. I'm your host, as always, Yonah Weiss, on this wonderful day today. Excited to be here with another amazing power couple. That's right, we have guests today, Victor and Leigh Leite, the co-founders of 25/8 Capital. So before we get to anything else, just how you guys doing today? It's great to have you.
Doing great. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, really excited to be here. Thank you for having us.
Awesome. Well, you guys, 25/8, before we start anything out, what's the name of that company? What's 25/8? Is that like your birthdays or something like that?
We kind of came up with 25/8 Capital because we just didn't want to stick to the standard that everybody else follows. Everybody follows a 7-day a week, 24 hours a day kind of lifestyle where they say they give enough, but we kind of say 24/7 is just not enough. You have to be 25/8 to really get ahead and focus on raising your bar, raising your standard just a little bit more than everybody else, right?
That's amazing.
Your time is important, and we can really try to force, our investments, and our capital work 25/8, not just 24/7.
That's awesome. That's like totally out of the box, right? I've never heard that before in terms of just kind of getting, putting it out there. Like I said, out of the box. So how are you guys actually doing it? Give us a little background. How, Leigh, Victor, how you guys got started in real estate, in investing, because obviously you've come a long way, and we'd love to hear a little bit of your background story.
Yeah, definitely. So Victor and I met about 15 years ago, and what bonded us together initially was really this shared drive and passion to make something out of ourselves. Victor grew up in Brazil. He has a real immigrant story, being raised in kind of rougher areas of LA. And I'm from really a rural town in upstate New York. And we set out to achieve that so-called American dream, work our way through school, get a profession, get a career, and then we'll have it made. So we actually met on our medical school interviews, and we made it through school together. We started out our careers together, and we thought we had it made. And then we found ourselves staring at a mountain of student loans.
Wow.
So we looked at, a few $100,000, and we said, okay, we're motivated people. We've got this, and made this massive action plan to pay them off. So we got to work. I had 2 jobs at the time. We were working 40 to 80-hour work weeks in the hospital and clinic.
Wow.
And we achieved that goal. We paid off the loans, and we managed to save up what we thought was a pretty good chunk of money at that time. And what we found was we had money, but we were lacking real wealth. And what is real wealth? Are you wealthy if you don't have your health because you don't have time to work out? Are you wealthy if you don't have your time to go to your kid's soccer game or spend Christmas with your family? So we had to really re-examine, our overall values, and we had to just hit a pause. So we had a rather radical approach and left everything and took a sabbatical to go travel the world for a year with 2 backpacks.
That's awesome.
And during that time, we really got to re-examine what direction did we want our lives to go. And what we needed was our time back, because that is what we valued most, to spend the time with the people that we love, to spend time doing the things that we loved. So we were after some passive income, and we came upon real estate. So when we got back to the US, we resumed our careers in medicine, and we got into flipping houses. That's just what we found first. So we did one flip. We found a lot of success with that. We did another one, found some more success, and did a bunch of burrs. And at this point, we've been using that awesome foundation of the renovation, construction, value add component of our investing to focus on these distressed value add C-class multifamily assets.
Right.
And that's where 25A Capital was founded.
Wow. Okay. So lots to break down there. But
Yeah.
one thing I'm really, really, really curious about, I mean, there are a lot of things I am because there's so much of that story is just incredible. I mean, from the student loans to the backpacking to the house flipping. But were you doing, or at least at the beginning, and I'll follow up with the question after, still working in your medical professions while you were flipping those homes?
Yes, we were. We were still working. Obviously, it took time to transition over, but we're still working 46-hour work weeks. And then, I remember being in the hospital, taking calls from contractors, taking calls from folks who were trying to negotiate deals, buying deals off market, things like that. Well, on my lunch break or in between patients at nights, or, sometimes during the day, if we work nights, we were kind of focusing on, getting the systems built in place, getting everything running forward. So yeah, we were both still cranking out the hospital and clinics at that time. And people thought we were nuts. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's like,
And we had 2 kids.
Yeah.
And
in healthcare, we know how to multitask very well. We deal with stress very well. We're able to do things like that. So our bandwidth's a little bit higher than most to deal with a lot of juggling of this act. But we knew that if we stride for this goal, that we're going to reach our goals, our outcome-driven goals of financial freedom sooner than everybody else and sooner than we thought.
Right. Well, that's for sure true. And when you have that type of focus, and more than multitasking, it's really project management and really having good skills in that. But are you guys still doing this? I don't even want to ask. You're still working full time?
No. So we're not working full time at all in healthcare. I still practice medicine sparingly, but I still, have a love for a passion for helping patients. And I'm from Brazil, so I speak multiple languages, and I still love to help the people who actually need the help and can't get access to it. Yeah. So I still give a little bit of my time back to the community for this, but we are 100% dedicated in real estate.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. So now the question becomes, right, flipping houses, doing that. It is, from what I've heard from a lot of people that have gone from flipping houses to focusing more on multifamily investing, which is something that you guys are doing. So 2 questions. Number 1, are you still doing any of those house flips? And number 2, and the BRRRR methods you mentioned, owning single families and kind of refinancing out of them and just having them cash flow. So are you focused on both of those, or are you focused more of your time on multifamily? And then the question I'm going to follow up with is why, which I'll follow up with once I get the answer.
We're a really good team, and we have found a lot of success with the fix and flips. And it's really at this point a well-oiled machine and a great way to build capital. So I think that Victor devotes a little bit more of his time at this point on that one. And I am a little bit more focused on the multifamily, but we're really both working together on both. And we just didn't want to, let the great capital generating company that we built go yet. So it's great to use those capital gains that we get from the fix and flip, and then use the multifamily real estate to use that depreciation to offset those gains. So it's really working well for us right now.
Right. And we're operators, right? So we operate these opportunities, and some of our superpowers are having just our in-house contracting teams that actually run both renovations on the fix and flip side, which is more of the active side. And then we can just transition them over into the heavy renovations that we do on the multifamily sides. So it kind of works very well that way in symbiosis by just keeping everything in-house.
Right. I'm sure will help you to grow that into multiple facets. Once they can do it on single families, they can do it on multifamilies. And
it's actually easier.
Exactly.
It's actually easier.
It certainly is, for sure. And so it's certainly a capital generator, as you mentioned. And I love the fact, obviously, for various reasons. But, what I found, I mentioned this earlier, that a lot of people who have been in the fix and flips transition out of that because of the tax benefits that you'll find in commercial real estate or multifamily. But what you're doing is kind of using both, all right? Using the depreciation to offset the gains, the high taxes, which otherwise would have been taxed at extremely high rates.
Exactly. And then we're using those gains and reinvesting them directly into the multifamily assets. So we're not, just syndicating, we're owning a large portion of the deals ourselves, which is bringing a lot of passive income,
right,
and really helping to get to our goals faster.
So when you took the time off to travel around, just one question before we get into the business side of things, what was the I'll ask each one of you if it's a different answer, but what was the most amazing place that you visited?
Great question. Well, I absolutely loved going to Brazil to see where my husband is from. And we got to travel up and down the country to the very north with amazing sand dunes and beaches, to the jungle, to the Iguazu Falls, and got to spend so much time with his family. And I thought that was just really special.
Yeah, it was great. And I think we had, a lot of mind shifting moments when we were in Southeast Asia, spent a lot of time in Bali, focused on our mindset, our mental health, our, setting our roadmaps. We focused on a daily basis of getting that Zen, kind of focusing on what is important, what is actually important. Is it important to get back to your 9 to 5, or is it important to focus on your family goals, your goals as a couple together? That's what we kind of had that drive and vision to do during this travel, is reflect on those things.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that's really life-changing. At that time, or, in the time since then, have been establishing goals and things like that you've set, and creating that kind of plan to financial freedom, or whatever you want to call it. Number one, have you reached that yet? Or did you set a goal of like a timeline to get to a certain point or a certain number? Or is it evolving as time goes on?
Ever evolving. We're such goal-driven people that we keep achieving the goals and then setting new ones for ourselves. A recent goal of mine was to stop working in medicine by the time my daughter started kindergarten, so that I would be home for weekends, evenings, and holidays. And my daughter just started kindergarten yesterday.
Wow.
And my last day is on Saturday.
Amazing. Wow. That's incredible. Well, good for you. Congratulations to you. We need our editors to put an applause sound over there in the podcast, because that's incredible. I mean, when you set that goal and you're able to do it and achieve that, obviously you have created that life for yourself to do that. So good for you.
Thank you.
It's our life by design. We're goal-oriented people. We focus on our 90-day, 1-year, 5-year goals, and we really try to achieve them. So that's how we've kind of designed our life.
So what are some of those mindset things that you talked about that kind of helped you or help you to do that? Because not everyone who's listening to this are necessarily goal-oriented people. Maybe you are and you just don't know it yet, but I think people struggle with that. Not everyone can take off a year and just sit on the beaches of Bali and and think about life, But I mean, what are some of those things that actually help you to achieve those goals or set the right mindset?
It's really about not focusing on the day-to-day, but focusing on the bigger outcome. And really, where do you want your life to be in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? I think so many people focus on the now. And when you focus in the future, you're creating delayed gratification. So you're willing to put in more work up front, knowing that you're going to get somewhere great. And a lot of people just don't want to do that. They want the good things now.
Right. And once you have those goals set, you just set the next actionable steps you can take today to get to that goal, right? Because you're focused on that outcome-driven goal. And so by having that roadmap, that's how we reset our mindset. We want delayed gratification because overall we're going to be much more happier in the end.
But we write it down and we map it out. And then it's really fun to look back at it like a couple of years later and say, wow, we did that. Or wow, look where this direction changed and where this new goal is. But it's good to have it recorded so you can compare and follow it.
That's awesome. So I have to ask you now, then what's, right now at this point in 2022, what's one of your, 1 or 5 year goals at this point?
Great question. So we want to focus on more multifamily acquisitions. We're working on really building that passive income, not only to cover our expenses, but to really just live a big life. And that means doing whatever it is you want to do, whether it's sending your kid to a certain school or taking a certain vacation or, just having abundance.
There you go.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And having the ability to give back to other people.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Victor, would you concur? That's one of your big goals right now?
Those are one of our big goals. I mean, I have a bunch of smaller personal goals for myself. I want to learn new languages. Mandarin is on my radar that I want to learn and focus on that. And that takes time and energy. Yeah. That, and we want to travel the world again and set that plan for us to be our life by design to where we just are remote and we can do those things, helping teach our kids about not just about the books, but about life and kind of make them overall, great human beings,
And what we're finding is the more and more we talk about what we're doing, especially with our colleagues and other people just in the professional space, they want to get involved and they want to find, well, how do I make a life like that? And what we're really, really excited about, especially through multifamily, is that we're able to bring people in with us and we're able to give people an opportunity without them having to, recreate the wheel or do all of this kind of hard work that we put in. So it's really gratifying being able to, help guide others in that same direction.
That's awesome. It's always great when you can give back and kind of pay it forward to what you've been able to accomplish. Other people can too. I mean, what you talked about the student debt, sitting there and looming over you, that's crazy. I mean, but there are millions and millions of people like that just have no idea what to do or how to get out of that and are just stuck on the hamster wheel and may never get out. So if you can provide that advice or those kind of the guiding light to others to do that, follow your path, I think that's incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah. If we can do it, anybody else can, to be honest with you. Anybody else can.
I think the people who do it, right, say it. And the people who haven't done it, like it's hard for them to believe that, right?
Sure.
And I think that really speaks to our own, self limitations that we put on ourselves because we as humans are, incredibly resilient and incredibly powerful, but we don't give ourselves the opportunities, right, to explore those powers, that innate powers that we have, that we can do. Like you said, if anyone, if you can do it, anyone can do it. And I mean, yes, that's a humble thing to say, but it really is true. If you're listening to this and you don't believe that, I mean, it's time to maybe just take some time and look at yourself in the mirror and write down some of those goals that you have. And if you don't have those goals, start thinking about it, right? Take some time off and just ponder your life. Like, what are you doing? You're just on a hamster wheel. And if you haven't read Rich Dad Poor Dad yet, that might help you, right? Get on that path. But I know that's helped a lot of people. And he talks about a lot, especially at the end, in terms of what are your goals? Like, what's your why? What's driving you?
And that's true. I mean, it's really it's a lot of mindset driven, habit forming, experiences. Like it's really, that's why I say if we can do it, anybody can, because it really just starts with that mindset. It's all psychology. It's not physical. It's psychology, setting your roadmap. Where do you want to be? What do you want to do? And set that roadmap and just work backwards. If you start with that, at least you're better off than 90% of the population who are just going on that hamster wheel. They're just not even focusing on it. And then they're trying to retire at an age, of whatever, 65 to 70, maybe 75 now. It's like, they don't even think how does my future self want to live? What's the goal for that?
Yeah.
Back to those limiting beliefs. Victor is really, really strong at this. And I've had to overcome a lot of those limiting beliefs. And 2 years ago, when we were really trying to get in multifamily, Victor takes me by this really distressed 65-unit apartment building, a couple blocks from the ocean front. It's next to the convention center. And he says, Leigh, we're going to buy this. And I go, how are we going to buy this? The market's so competitive. How are we going to win listings? Things are just at an all-time high. We're just getting started. How are we going to do that? And Victor says, we're going to buy this. I said, okay. And, he started an off-market campaign and got the owner on the phone and actually convinced him to sell it to us. And we found a way to make it happen. And that's one of our big projects we're working on right now.
Wow.
But that's a big thing. You have to remove those limiting beliefs.
Sure.
And not everything will be a success story like that. But if you keep working towards that goal and believe you can do it, and of course are able to overcome obstacles and work around them, then I think you really can achieve them.
Sure. And there's so much to the mechanics of how you actually accomplished that and did that. But you're absolutely right. It all begins with the mindset and begins with, just eliminating those limiting beliefs. Can you say that? Limiting? Okay. It sounded right in my head, but when it came out, it didn't sound so right. But I think it's incredible. And one question I have for you in terms of, you're still working, Victor, obviously you're still doing, Leigh, you're retiring now from your medical career.
Yeah.
How do your colleagues or have your colleagues reacted? Or, do you talk about real estate at all in the facility, wherever, the hospital, where, I don't know where you work, but.
Yeah, I mean, from my own personal experience, and like I said, originally everybody thought I was nuts. Like, what are you doing? It's like, it's so high risk, this and that. Now everybody is just jaw dropped and like, where was all of this? You didn't tell me about this whole entire thing. You kept, and now I'm more vocal about what we do with others just because I get asked about it so much. I'm more vocal about it and explaining, the steps and process and education behind all of this stuff. It's like, you got to learn. There's not like a self-taught or it's like a self-taught kind of thing. It's not like a book that you can just follow for every single experience there, but everybody's kind of like, how can I be involved with like what you guys are doing now? This is fantastic. It's like, I never thought about it that way, in diversification of my investments, in having passive income coming in so that I can maybe work a couple hours less or take a couple more days off. Nobody ever even thought about that way. They just thought, well, this is it. This is my career. I'm going to do it for the next 40 years. And then I hope I have something left over in the end.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, a lot of people just don't know what their options are. They don't know that they have anything else.
Right.
That's crazy. Well, time flies over here. We could go on literally for hours. I mean, I could ask you guys 100 more questions about your trips and stuff like that also. And the building up, talking about almost 200, fix and flips. I'm sure there are dozens, if not 200 stories about each one of those that we could share on individual episodes. But I want to transition now. Well, it just keeps the listeners thirsting for more. So I'll have to reach out to you and find you to learn more about that. But I'd love to transition what we call the final four. These are 4 questions I ask all my guests, and I'm going to put it out there, see if you guys are interested. We've done this for other couples in the past, where we do something like the newlywed game, where I'll ask one of you the questions while the other one is out of the room and see if you can guess the other person's answers to these questions, or we can just do it the simple way and just keep it, just ask you the questions individually. What do you want to do?
Okay. I can step out.
Let's play the game.
Yeah, let's play the game. Let's do it.
They're adventurous. Yeah. Let's do it. All right. So while Victor steps out of the room, we're going to ask Leigh her questions and also what she thinks your questions are. Bring you back, do the same. And then while Leigh goes out, and then we'll bring you both back and see how you did. So I'm going to bring out my pad and paper so I can try to remember these answers myself as well. So Leigh, first question for you. We'll do your questions first and then Victor's answer. So what is the worst job that you ever had?
The worst job I ever had was when I was trying to get, a resume builder for medical school, and I was working at a podiatrist office cutting some really funky toenails. That's probably the worst job.
Wow. Yeah. I don't even want to imagine that. Okay.
The things you'll do to get into school.
I mean, for sure. So I want to ask you, what do you think that Victor's answer will be his worst job is?
Victor always talks about working on the ambulance and working nights kind of in the inner city and just dealing with a lot of different people and a lot of different experiences. That was before he went to school as well.
That's really challenging. Yeah. Okay. Second question. What's a book you've read that's given you a paradigm shift?
I love the book Who Not How by Dan Sullivan, just because you don't have to know everything yourself. You don't have to be able to do everything yourself. If you can find somebody who can do that for you or somebody you can partner with, you will just accelerate so much faster.
Awesome. Yeah, love that book. It's a very, very big one in this show. And we'll put that in the show notes. And what do you think that Victor's paradigm shift book is going to be?
Oh, Victor loves the miracle morning. He loves routines and mornings and getting motivated. I haven't read it myself, so he'll have to tell you more about it.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you've picked up a lot of it from him.
Yes.
Which is almost like reading it.
It is. Yeah. Divide and conquer.
There you go. Third question. What's a skill or talent that you would like to learn?
I have a goal of being fluent in Portuguese. We have a bilingual household, and at this point, I can understand it very well, and I would love to have a conversation in it. So that is a goal of mine.
Awesome. Well, having kids is a great way to do that.
Yes.
And what do you think that Victor's skill or talent he would like to learn is?
Victor,
Well, he did mention one earlier on the show, actually.
Did he? I think he wants to get into development and building. I think he wants to learn how to speak Mandarin. He wants to accumulate some more languages.
Okay, we'll take those. Okay. All right. And what does success mean to you?
Success to me means happiness in my life. And that is defined by raising my children well, having them turn into good people, knowing that I spent enough time with them, knowing that I spent enough time with my family and my friends, and I gave everybody everything I had. And also having enough freedom to be able to, give back to others in the community. So I think if I can achieve all of those things in my life, then that will be success.
Awesome.
But it's not a measure of money.
For sure. No, that's awesome. I love that. Love the answers, Leigh. I'm going to ask you to bring Victor back in and take a break outside, and we'll call you back.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back. Whatever
And
you said,
he's back.
not my fault. I disagree with everything. I don't know.
That's a great way to start things.
She's probably right, by the way. She's probably right.
The woman is always right.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't matter. That's a good.
What did I miss? What did you guys talk about?
What did you miss? So we asked the final 4 questions. These are 4 questions I ask all the guests. I'm going to first ask you what your answers are, and then ask you what you think Leigh's answers are to those same questions. And then we'll bring her back and see how you guys did.
Okay.
All right. Alrighty. So the first question is, what is the worst job that you ever had?
Oh, gosh. I've had a lot of jobs. Gosh. I've done a lot in healthcare, worked as a paramedic. I did a lot of tough times in inner city, dealing with deaths, gunshots, overdoses, working long hours, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And I think that was more of the toughest job because of what I saw day in, day out, and the scars that it's built, because of that. So I think that was more of my toughest job in the sense I gained a lot from it, but it definitely changed me from, a young guy coming out of college into a man, because I really learned about life.
Wow.
I mean,
yeah,
I think that was my toughest.
Yeah, no, and and oftentimes the toughest situations, the worst situations we're in, teach us a lot, and they're great learning experiences. Doesn't mean that you wouldn't necessarily want to go back to do it again. We'll take that. And what do you think Leigh would answer her worst job she ever had was?
She always talks about like this. She used to work in a calzone shop back in like the day when she was just trying to make money for like her in high school, making calzones all day long. And she says she's got a lot of burns, and she no longer wants to eat anything related to cheese or anything like that ever again. So I think that might be Leigh's not so favorite job.
We'll go with that. Awesome. Second question. What's a book you've read that's given you a paradigm shift?
Oh, that's a good one. I read a book called Chop Wood, Carry Water. Remember, I think it was Gordon. I think the author name is Gordon. But I remember this book talking about like focusing on the process of being great, and kind of discussing how, the adversity and how if you set up the process, like the building blocks of your entire process, it will allow for you to overcome really just anything, no matter the situation, right? So you focus on your building blocks. It's a mindset book, so it can really go across any other platforms, and I talk about it like in healthcare, like, if somebody's having a heart attack right in front of me, I already know the process of dealing with this. So I don't deal with it emotionally. I react based on my process of training to deal with that situation. I just put in that terms, Yeah. So it's more of like that shifting of your mindset, and the concepts can really go across all boards of dealing with your daily habits.
Yeah. That's awesome. No, I've never heard of that, but I love the way you described it and the premise of the book. So definitely going to check that out. Chop Wood, Carry Water. We'll put that in the show notes. And what do you think Leigh's paradigm shift book would be?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Oh man, that's a tough call on that one, because I read more than her, especially with the mindset stuff. I don't know. Gosh, she's been doing a lot of mindset stuff on growth. I don't know. That's a tough one. I have no idea. Throw a book out there.
Throw a book out there. Someone she's read recently, something.
She's had she told me about the Who Not How book. And she also listened to a lot of this female-driven mindset podcast that she's also listening to. So those are the things I know that she's doing.
Okay, we'll take it. Third question is, what is a skill or talent that you would like to learn?
I definitely like I said, I wanted to learn new languages. So learning Mandarin, I think, is on my radar to learn. It's a complicated language, but I've dealt with complicated languages already. And I think that's also another language that will connect us to a larger labor force of the world. And I feel like that's another value add skill set that we can bring into our systems that way.
Sure.
Because you can get a lot of contacts that way. So I think that's my focus. Going to be one of my goals. Okay,
very good. And what do you think that Leigh's skill or talent she would like to learn?
Skill or talent. Staying active, focusing on health, focusing on growing her network of like-minded individuals. I think that's something that she wants to work on, more of that connectivity with others. I don't know if that's a skill, but I think that is a skill. That's a very good skill, actually.
We'll take it. And fourth and final question. Oh, and I forgot to ask her, but it's okay. Well, I forgot to ask her the last question, what she thinks you would think about it, but it's okay. We'll just take your opinion here. What does success mean to you?
Success can be looked at different ways. It's not really monetary that I look at. I look at it more of like I'm able to control my time. My time is important to me, and I can control it now versus someone else telling me where to be, what time I can leave, what time I can eat, and others kind of pulling and draining of you, your energy, your focus, your mindset. It just drains you, because you deal with the death and dying all the time. So it wounds you that way. So I kind of go with like my time.
Yeah.
I think success is getting control of my time to do it as I wish with whatever I'm doing and focusing on that. I think that's success overall.
Absolutely. Love that. And I didn't ask her, but I'll ask you, what do you think she would define success as?
Leigh's the same way as me, our time with our family, our time with, raising our kids and being there for the moments. We're very big about being there for our kids and our moments and our family overall. Her parents, my parents, everybody around us, just being there together. We're very family driven and very focused on that and helping our family and friends around us who reach out to us for help or advice, education, whatever it is. I think that's where, at least I know my wife and her focus and my focus is on that. Like, it's not really, we've had a profession that paid us well, but it didn't feel successful because we weren't in control of it.
Right.
So I think that's where Leigh's mindset would also be.
Awesome. Well, give her a call back and bring her back in and see if we can see how you guys did. So I did realize that I forgot to ask Leigh at the last question of what she thinks success means to Victor. But so you get a freebie on that one, regardless.
Okay.
Well, let's see how you did. So the first question I asked, I'm going to read off these answers here and see how you guys did. The first question I asked was, what's the worst job you ever had? And so Leigh said the worst job was working in a podiatrist's office, cutting funky toenails.
Yeah,
something like that.
One too.
But Victor actually thought that your worst job was working in a calzone shop. Yeah, and not, could be close second.
Yeah, close second.
Okay. All right, pretty good. But you were both right on point in terms of what Victor said his worst job and working in the inner cities and the paramedic, and that was really good. So Leigh had that right on. So good. 1 point to you both. There you go. You're going to get a prize if you get through this. So second question was, what's a book you've read that is giving you a paradigm shift? And so Victor actually guessed right. He was struggling, but he said who, not how.
Yeah, she has that.
For Leigh's book.
She has that on her desk, so that's the only problem.
There you go. Good guess. There you go. And Leigh, so that was her answer. Victor's answer, he said, was chop wood, carry water. Which Leigh, she's saying, yeah, that's a good one. But she actually thought it might be Miracle Morning, which I'm sure was a paradigm shift because it changed the way you do things. So
focus on the daily habits. It's similar mindset books. That's what I focus on. Yeah.
Awesome. So we'll give you 2.5 points for that one. All right. Third question, what's a skill or talent you'd like to learn? Again, right on point here with Victor saying Mandarin. Leigh had that right on. You actually gave it away earlier in the episode. You mentioned their Mandarin, but she also mentioned, you want to maybe be working on building and construction as well. So that was the second one she added there. Always good to add more than one. You can never go wrong. And in terms of your answer, Leigh, she said she actually really wants to learn Portuguese and become more fluent in Portuguese. Whereas Victor thought, focusing on building your network and becoming, more like-minded people, that's a great thing to be. I'm sure that's true as well. So
that is.
We'll take it. And fourth and final question, we asked, what does success mean to you? Obviously, like I said, I forgot to ask Leigh what she thinks, but her answer was actually exactly what Victor had said. So she her success is with her family, happiness and children and being, good in that. So that's exactly what Victor had said. And his answer was being in control of his time. And I think that's probably what you would say as well if I asked you. So I think you guys passed with flying colors. Congratulations.
All righty.
This was an awesome episode of the Weiss Advice Newlywed Game. And thank you guys for joining us. Before we go, how can our listeners find you or reach out to you?
You can find us on our website at www.258cap.com. Reach out to us at info@258cap. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. We put a lot of educational content out there. We kind of give the breakdowns behind the scenes. We do some walkthroughs of the properties. I mean, we're renovating 140 units right now. So, you can really see our breakdown. We break down what our value add strategies are besides just raising the rents or doing this. We kind of break it down to our strategies, how we take these C-class properties and just force the appreciation, especially in this market.
we kind of just give all those tips of the trade. And then we kind of just talk about our actual lives. You'll get to know us. Really, this is us. So we just kind of put it out there for people just to reflect and resonate with us.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining us. This has really, really been great. It's been great to get to know you guys a lot better also through this episode. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, Yona. This has been a lot of fun.
Yes, thanks for having us on. We appreciate it.
Awesome. And to our listeners, thank you guys for joining us all the way to the end. Until next time, remember, the best advice comes only when you ask. Real quick, I have one question for you. Did you like this episode? If you did, I want to ask you a huge favor. See, the biggest thing that helps this podcast grow and that will spread this message to the whole world is that if you leave a review, a rating, and subscribe to the podcast. What that does is it basically tells the platforms that this podcast is out on is that you like my stuff and I'm doing something right. So take a few seconds out of your day, hit that subscribe button, leave a rating or review. I would be extremely grateful. Also, I want to hear from you guys. So I want to hear some feedback. If you have any questions for future episodes, please find me on LinkedIn, send me a DM, connection request, Yona Weiss, and I'd love to hear from you.